Hi there, I'm Kai, and I'm going to show you how I remade this water spell attack from Genshin Impact using Rogue Wave's Druid Magic sound library. Let's listen to the clip. So that's the sound I've created using Rogue Wave's Druid Magic library, and in this library you have a design section with multiple different elements and loads of sounds in them. And then you've also got the source section with all the source recordings used to create those, of which there are many. So let's have a look at the sound. So this is the start of the sound. In here we have quite a few different magic effects, which are really easy to stack together and get really good results, which is something that I really liked about the library. First up we have this magic debuff power down sound, which is a really nice layer for this sound right at the start with the movement here. It fits perfectly, and I haven't added any effects to that. Next up we have this chime, which gives a really magical high-end element to the visuals here with this particular ray of light. This has got some reverb on it, a bit of ring mod using the frequency shift element, and then another frequency shifter very harshly on top. Next up we have one of the earth spell sounds, which I've heavily edited to make sound like this. I used the very anime trick of using a reverb, a frequency shifter, and then also a resonator on top. But what I've done is I've automated the frequency shift so that it shifts very dramatically in a very short space of time, which gives that sort of anime feel. Next up we have this magic long ascent power-up sound. I haven't added any effects to this. It's actually really perfect for the animation itself, straight out of the box. It transitions really well throughout the clip, almost as if it was made for it, which is fantastic. Then we've got this neutral spell. In the neutral spell section, there's loads in here, which are really good for using as layers inside of bigger sounds to add additional magic layers. So let's listen to that. This has a really good amount of bass to it, and then a really nice tail. So it's got a really nice lead in, which is really bassy, and a little bit of a magic element, and it's really good for layering. Then we've got this big magic shatterer sound from the neutral section, which almost sounds as if it was made for this sound. There's something I've really noticed about this library is it's fantastic for sort of anime and cutesy JRPG games. It was really easy to stack these together and make really good sounds. This is using a frequency shifter and a reverb. Then we've got this neutral spell defense sound, which has a really nice start, which helps add some mids to this sparkling effect here. It has a really nice chimey tail. Then we've got this neutral spell riser, and that's just got a compressor on it to try and get a bit more of the tail out. Then we move on to the middle section of the sound. In here we have this magical riser, which is just perfect right out of the box. Then we've got this shiny ping sound, which is a really nice little detail to add to the transition here. In here we have EQ pitch shifter, which is all it's doing is really exaggerating just a little bit of the pitch that it already is, and then a reverb stacked on top. Then we have this debuff sound, which is really nice for that magical transition. Then we have a staff riser power-up sound. I'm using a light bit of frequency shift on here with the pitch shifter lowering it a bit, so without it sounds like this, which is very JRPG. Then we've got this wind spell, which really helps with the transition here. I believe it's just a little bit of frequency shift and a reverb. Then we've got another neutral spell at the end, which is a generic magic transformation sound. Now that sound in of itself is absolutely perfect for a very cute looking JRPG, kind of like Genshin Impact, and almost sounds as if it was made for the sound with the way that it transitions. And I haven't added any effects or really touched the sound. And now next we move over to the explosion, which is the end of the sound. So first up we have this neutral spell, which is healing bubbles. Fits perfectly to the animation. Next up we have another neutral spell, which is a potion. And I like the little bouncy tail to it, because it's a powerful spell, of course, but it's also kind of cute, so you don't really need to take it too seriously in the context, so it doesn't need to sound aggressive. It's just a nice little layer to add in there. Then we've got this neutral spell here, which is a deflect spell. As like a lot of transient information and sounds like something's being released at the end. Then we've got another water spell here, which is a dive bomb attack. I've faded in the beginning here, and I've added a little bit of reverb. Then we've got this wind spell. This adds quite a lot of really nice high-end fizz to kind of fill the sound out. And I've basically taken the sort of highs here, I've frequency shifted it up, added some reverb, and then added another reverb on top. This really helps provide a tail as well to the sound. And then we have a wind blast attack. That adds a lot of transient information. Then we have these kind of bubble sounds here, just for the visuals down here on the ground. This has got reverb on it. Then we've got this other water spell here. So this I've added a frequency shift and a reverb, and it's also got a lot of resonance in it as well. It gives it that really nice magical effect, so it's a really fantastic layer for sort of JRPG sounds. Then I've got this magic chime. That's there to represent all these sparkles in the sky here after the sound, and also to make it sound a lot more magical. This has just got reverb on it. Then we've got another water spell element. That just helps with the start of this explosion here with the water on the ground. And I'm just getting rid of some of the lows and pretty much all the transients. Without it, it sounds like this. I've got another water spell here. A lot of really nice bass end at the start, and then you've got the bubbles releasing here, which is really, really good. I've just pitch shifted that down a bit more to get a little bit more of the bass of it. We've got another water spell here, which is another magic orb. Really subtle water elements in there, and it's got frequency shift, which is really harsh, and then some reverb. And then we've got another water blast attack. This is just getting rid of some of the lows, and it's basically used for the transient information. Then we've got another water spell splash attack. That's got a lot of detail in it, and is really, really good for sort of sounds that kind of erupt the way that this one does. And fits the animation perfectly, and I haven't edited it at all. Then we've got one more splash attack to end with. Nice little bit of lead into this sound as well, and then a bit of mid-lows which really help exaggerate the attack. And so that is how I created this sound effect using Rogue Wave's Druid Magic library. Let's listen to it one more time.